What's going on? It's your boy CJ Goodfella back with the boxing clinic, and I had to stop my night. You understand? Shout out to the LDVC, by the way. And according to Tevin Farmer, Orlando Saildo pulled out, or apparently to this comment fell out, the Gervonta Tank Davis fight when we thought it was made. It was close to being made. It was talked about. Seems like the money team was going to pay him more money, Orlando Saildo, to take on Tank Davis, and Vasily Lomachenko was going to, pay him to take on that August 4th date, I think it was, on ESPN, which would have been great exposure for both cards. Now, Orlando Saildo is just looking like a straight, Daffy Duck Dodger motherfucker right now. This is a guy that, tough, hard-nosed, and maybe he might have to hang it up or retire, because he just got dropped in a fight, a tune-up fight, and maybe he just figure, he's worth more than what he's asking for. I thought it was going to be the lineup real quick was going to be a tough fight for Tank the longer it went, and most people thought it was a fight that Tank took just to say Saildo got, Lomachenko got Saildo problems, and he took care of Saildo easier than, Lomachenko did in his second career pro fight. And he's a lot younger than, less experienced than Vasily Lomachenko in the overall background of boxing experience. But and according to Tevin Farmer, Billy Dibbs took another date when actually the IBF ordered a number one contender fight between him and Billy Dibbs. And if you wasn't, if you didn't understand, what happened between that, it was a simple fact that they ordered the Billy Dibbs and the Tevin Farmer fight, and one of the guys told me it was already signed. And I was like, there's no way it could be signed that quick. He's just a fucking hater. Not gonna say no names. But, Billy Dibbs took another route. He didn't want a number one contender to fight versus Tevin Farmer for whatever reason it was. And, now Tevin Farmer wants to come back to the table. Now what it was, as soon as they made that number one contender fight, Gervonta Tank Davis called out Tevin Farmer and told him, you can forget about Billy Dibbs. We can make a step aside deal. We can fight on the Mayweather-McGregor undercard. Billy Dibbs can get the winner. You got to worry about fighting a mandatory fight. I'll give you a shot right now. And Tevin Farmer said, no, I'd rather, go through the process and enjoy the process. I don't want that type of exposure on the Mayweather-McGregor undercard, I guess to the freak show that is, to boxing. He said, I don't want that exposure. I'd rather fight Billy Dibbs and come back and be your number one contender and just enjoy the process, which was some of the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. Now it was sounding like this whole thing kind of was set up. It kind of was pre-packaged, pre-ordered, that, I know the Saildo factor, it was what it was. He did a magnificent job versus Rocky Martinez on the Mayweather-Berto undercard, even though it was a draw and he lost the first fight. But, they wanted to bring him back on. I guess it fell through. Numbers didn't crunch. I guess that 720 or 50K that, Lomachenko on Top Rank supposedly offered, you don't know really what it is, especially, dealing with Top Rank. It couldn't be topped by Gervonta Tank Davis. It wasn't enough money and the exposure wasn't right. So all of a sudden, Tevin Farmer, his opponent chooses to skip over a number one contender fight to take another date. It sounds like bullshit to me. It sounds like this was already in the works. This fight probably already was being signed. It helped Saildo save face versus Lomachenko, and it's a fight that everybody wants to see. It's a fight that it's been built up through the media. Even 50 Cent was talking about it. Tevin was on This Is 50 talking about it, and it was a fight that was built up that night at the MGM Harbor Bay. I think Gary Russell was fighting old boy there. And it seems a little fishy, to me it just seems fishy. I think this fight is already signed, already been delivered and done, and I can't wait to see it articulate into something great, hopefully, man, and hopefully it's a good fight, and Tevin Farmer definitely fought his way back up to the top. We gone.